I want to discuss the events that led to Vespasian's rise to power and the eventual minting of today's coin. In 67 AD, Nero sent Vespasian to Judea to quell the great Jewish revolt. Vespasian was stationed there for about 2 years, and in the meantime, Rome descended into chaos. Everything began to spiral out of control when Nero was proclaimed as a public enemy by the Roman Senate in 68 AD. When that happened, Galba, the governor of Spain, declared himself as emperor. What's interesting to note is that instead of bringing peace to the empire when Galba made his announcement, he brought even more unrest to the empire because he made his declaration outside of Rome. This essentially opened the gates to anyone to challenge the emperor without physically being inside the capital. Now, Galba didn't last long. He had a tendency of withholding payment due to his soldiers, which gave rise to another contender to the throne. Vitellius was a governor selected by Galba stationed in Lower Germany. He didn't have a difficult time persuading Galba's underpaid soldiers to switch their allegiance to himself and waited for an opportunity to make his move. Galba was already old, well into his 70s, and he was very desperate to select an heir. The obvious choice would have been to adopt Rome's governor, Otho, who was a big supporter of Galba and even had dealings with Nero during his reign. Unfortunately, Galba ignored Otho's high hopes and adopted a senator instead. This action outraged Otho's supporters, who proclaimed him emperor anyways. Galba was soon killed by the Praetorian Guard. This is when Vitellius announced himself as emperor and began his march to Rome. Vitellius defeated Otho's armies in northern Italy and continued his advances. Meanwhile, in Rome, Otho quickly wrote his farewell letters to his loved ones and committed suicide in April 69 AD. By July of that year, the armies in Egypt, Judea, and Syria saw that Vespasian was a viable contender to the throne and promptly declared him as their emperor and began their march to Rome. As Vespasian approached Rome, he defeated some of Vitellius's forces, also in northern Italy. At this point, Vitellius, fearing for his life, sent deputies and even Vestal virgins to Vespasian with entreaties for peace, but with no success. Vespasian reached Rome, and his armies captured Vitellius. According to ancient historians, soldiers abused and humiliated Vitellius before finally killing him in December of 69. Once the violence died down, the Senate conferred the power of precepts to Vespasian, cementing his position as emperor. Vespasian was the first emperor of the Flavian dynasty, and he headed what is generally considered an age of stability at Rome after the very chaotic year which became known as the Year of the Four Emperors. Upon donning the purple, Vespasian acted early and quite often to establish not only his reign, but his two sons as his heirs. It was his intention to establish a dynasty, and his coins quickly and frequently depicted his two sons, Titus and Domitian. The fact that he had two sons was very appealing for many, as it showed that his legacy, the Flavian dynasty, would be in safe hands. I read an excellent paper on the personifications of Vespasian's coins during his reign by T.R. Stevenson. He writes in great detail about the legends and iconography on the coins and what they mean and why they were used. I strongly suggest that anyone with an interest in this topic should give this paper a read. In the paper, Stevenson says that Vespasian's coinage places great emphasis on the roles played by Titus and Domitian. The importance of the dynasty is obvious from the fact that the coinage of Titus and Domitian is completely integrated with that of their father. More pertinently, it is remarkable how often the personifications relate in a positive way to the succession. They assist in promoting the message that the future stability and prosperity of Rome are assured, while the power of the emperor resides in the Flavian house. This charming denarius was minted during the early stages of Vespasian's rule. He capitalized on the most widely used form of media at that time, which is coins. This allowed him to let the populace know in a short period of time that he and his sons were here to stay for a while. When viewing this denarius, we can see Vespasian looking to his right with a calm and relaxed expression on his face. He's encircled by the legend IMP, Caesar Vespasianus AVG. On the flip side, we see Titus and Domitian facing each other. surrounded by Caesar AVG FCOS, Caesar AVG FPR. Even though the facial features of Titus and Domitian are worn down, you can still see that the busts are expertly designed and appealing. Overall, this particular coin is quite entertaining to look at and has a ton of history packed into it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out the resource links below and also my Facebook page where I post some behind the scenes and also offer some of my coins. Take it easy, everyone.